Welcome to Venezuela Insider, the only place in Venezuela for expats, digital nomads, entrepreneurs, investors, travelers, and related internationals. For more information, venezuelainsider.com. Today, I'm reacting to an article of a newsletter of probably my favorite Venezuelan economist, Asdrúbal Oliveros, and such article is titled Bingo. The prices are the key in Venezuela. This is regarding on the economic situation right now and a couple of things that I have to explain. Number one is that the Venezuelan economy has grown on the past few years on a double-digit pace, 10% on 2021, 10% on 2022. Now on 2023, we're seeing a bit of a slowdown on such growth on the consumer side. Now, this doesn't mean that the Venezuelan economy is going to collapse. Nothing goes straight up or straight down. It has this movement. It's done some trading, some investment. You kind of familiar of the movement, of the trends and such. So we're seeing a little bit of a contraction on the consumer sector, on, of course, the private sector, and especially those companies, private companies that cater towards this private consumer sector. That's one thing. The second thing is that something that you might don't know here in Venezuela regarding businesses is that private business owners, especially small business owners, are expected to high profit margins, unlike many places around the world, for instance, the United States, where people, business owners, small business owners, entrepreneurs, and such, they expect first doing a large investment and then little by little recoup the initial investment and also doing it by scale, by a large number of sales instead of recovering on a small handful of clients on a high profit margin. So on the mindset of the small business owner, the small entrepreneur here in Venezuela is getting this big, hefty profit margin. And that's one of the keynotes here on this article. It's very short, so let's start. The first take on the article is on an impoverished market have to develop a price strategy in Venezuela? And well, my answer is yes. And of course, that's a tricky question that this economist says that of course you need to develop a price strategy in Venezuela. Oh, the second thing he mentions is that the economy has recently slowed down, and on the consumer side, I mentioned before. The third thing says there is a purchasing power reduction on the Venezuelan consumer, and a little bit more on that. And yes, I agree. There is a purchasing power reduction on the average Venezuelan consumer. Now, number 4, he mentions that the commercial sales index in Venezuela had a contraction of 17.5% on January 2023 compared to January 2022 and 19.3% contraction on February 2023 compared to February 2022. Even we're seeing a price drop on food items, alcoholic beverages, clothing and apparel, leisure and hospitality. And actually this drop on retail prices, I see it as a good thing since that what we had on the past, let's say 3 years or so, 3-4 years or so, we had a sharp increase on consumer prices on real terms, not on nominal terms on bolivars. I'm talking real terms on US dollars. And that's because I explained many times that since 2018, On 2018, we had these draconian low prices. Everything was dirt cheap between 2017 and 2018 on real terms. On nominal terms, of course, you know the story, hyperinflation and prices increase a lot. But on real terms, denominated on US dollar, prices were dirt cheap. And since 2019, we see a big, sharp increase on consumer prices in Venezuela. Let's continue now. Meanwhile, salaries can keep up with these price increases on USD since, like I said, 2018, 2019, and since around that date, 2018, 2019, we also had dollarization on the private sector revenue, income, wages, you name it. Most people here in Venezuela, all the people that work on the private sector, they earn on USD. Small freelancers, let's call it, like doctors, lawyers, but also taxi drivers, Uber drivers, carpenters, plumbers, you name it, they earn on USD as well. The only people who earn on bolivars are public sector employees and pensioners. Now, Asdrubal, the economist, the Venezuelan economist, is mentioning that, of course, the private employees with their wages are being slightly growing, slightly trending up, although the price increases denominated on USD had increased higher than their own wages, salaries, and revenue. Now, he mentions that the key variable with the price structure and the productive structure on any given small business and bigger business as well, private businesses, of course, is that the key variables are prices. So you need a strategy that should be analyzed because, believe it or not, many small entrepreneurs in Venezuela, they don't have a price strategy. They just, roll it, they just wing it and put the price at the end. So there is a lot of discrepancies on prices on the consumer side. So on this article, he mentions many key, let's call it KPI, key performances indicators on price strategy. So those factors are demand elasticity, cost structure, competition. It's very important because we had a very skewed, very few offer supply of goods and services. Now the competition is slightly increasing, and not that slightly, depending on the sector and the industry. We're seeing a lot of competition lately, which is good for the consumer and also good for the economy overall. But the people who made the initial investment on the starting process a few years ago, they didn't have such competition. Now they do, and that puts at risk their initial investment. So keep that in mind. Also, price discrimination. That happens a lot here in Venezuela because, and according to the article, there is a market segment, there is a very defined market between the quote unquote have and have not. According to the article, around 85% of the population has an income of 300 USD or less. That's, of course, that's low, still is considerable because these people have to consume, they need food items, they need transportation, they need occasionally leisure and hospitality as well. So at the end of the day, there are still people, they have consumer needs. Also, innovation, the article mentions innovation, how can you create as a business owner, a small business owner, a value added service that stands out from competition. And also it's very important the expected rate of return. Like I mentioned before, small business owners here in Venezuela have the mindset of high profit margins, and on these, let's say, traditional industries, you know that the profit margins are low and you make it up with volume of sales. And you have to tell this like a, ABC of business. You have to tell these business owners that are already operating and have some experience doing so. Still, you have to explain that the real value of a business is creating a hefty market of customers, loyal customers, instead of just profiting of a handful of a few customers. So you have to explain that you have to reduce the margin of the earnings in favor of expanding your customer base. Now, on the article mentions 4 strategies for prices setting here in Venezuela. So the number 1 is increase sales and reduce prices. Like I mentioned before, the mindset of small business owners is having this big profit margin, so you have to reduce the prices in order to increase the sales and the volume of customers. Number 2 is increase profits and increase profit margin. And of course, that depends on the industry. To increase the profits, of course, selling more. And if you are able to set a higher profit margin, do so, but you have to be careful on that. Number 3 is increase the value added of any given product or service. Because since some small business owners are accustomed, they didn't have competition, so basically they can sell anything without taking care of the quality of the value added quality to their products and services. Now they have to be more careful because they have more competition right now. And number 4 is blocking the entry of new competition by reducing prices. Now, what you have here is that in order, since the competition on the private sector is steadily increasing and sharply increasing depending on the segment of the market, what you want to do is you already somehow established on the past few years, you have to structure your sales and your prices in order you can still be profitable, but at the same time don't give the opportunity of new players that, unless they're going to do it excellently well, doing very well on a good rate between price and quality, so just keep it outside of the market by setting competitive prices. And basically, that's what it means on the whole article: setting a good price with good quality and being competitive and giving the most added value as you can, depending, of course, on your any given price, any given product, service on any given industry. Thank you for watching Venezuela Insider. Please like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on social media. If you want to work with us, VenezuelaInsider.com. Thanks again and have a nice day.